Going towards Parsha Vayera this week, and the topic is divine punishment. Putting punishment in the proper perspective. So,
do I leave now?
Since Rabbi Shiner just spoke about giving tzedakah, so the Rabbi made a joke on Shabbos that if you don't give tzedakah, then you get punished. So that's the back-to-back. But it's not such a joke, because in this week's Parsha, Sedaim says about Sedaim Yad Ani ve'Edlen lahechzika, that they didn't take care of the poor amongst them, and they didn't want anyone poor or anyone needy or any guests to come that they didn't want hachnas zarchim, they didn't want to give to others, they just wanted to be for themselves, and so they got punished, and that's why punishment is being discussed in this week's Parsha, because in the context of Sodom. I want to go back just because somebody asked me last week a bit about the Bais HaLaivi, so we're still not going to say much this week, but we'll say a little bit more. I failed to mention last week that the Bais HaLaivi was the great-grandson of Reb Chaim Volozhin, the founder of the Volozhin Yeshiva. And not only was he the great-grandson, but there was about 10 years where he was co-Rosh Yeshiva with the Netziv. The Netziv was the main, Rav Naftali Tzvi Berlin was the main Rosh Yeshiva, but they had another co-Rosh Yeshiva, and I don't know the ins and outs of the story. I'm sure it was very interesting, but after about 10 years, the Bais HaLaivi decided, maybe it was mutual, that it wasn't compatible for them to be co-Rosh Yeshiva, so he left, and later, at the end of his life, he was in more than one place after that, in Slotsk, and it's thought that he was the Rabbi of the famous genius, the rugged Shofar Gaon. Bais HaLaivi was one of his Rabbeim. But in the end of his life, he was Rav of Brisk. After the Rav of Brisk moved to Yerushalayim to become Rabbi Shua Leib Diskin, moved to Yerushalayim, and he became the Rav of Yerushalayim. So that time, the Bais HaLaivi was invited to become the Rav of Brisk, and then his son, when he was Nifter, took over for him, was known as the Brisker Rav. And many know that he had I think it was his grandson or great-grandson was Rosh Yeshiva in YU, also Soloveitchik, and it's a very big family, the Soloveitchik family. Okay, so this is Bais HaLaivi, and he was known for his very much, besides his genius, his compassion and caring, looking out for Aniyim and Achnas Orchim. This was very big by him. Okay, so anyway, let's go to Bais HaLaivi's perspective on divine punishment. And let's see inside. Zarka Sodom v'Amora, the pasuk in the Parsha, says that the cry of Sodom and Amora, ki rabba, is great. It means it's like reaching the heavens. This cry is going up. V'chatasam, and the sin, ki kavda me'oid. The sin is very heavy. So because of that, Hashem says, Eredona, I will descend, the ere hakitzakasa haba elai, the like kitzakasa, like the cry that is reaching me, that's coming to me. Also, they have done kala. Then kala is milashin kilayim, of destruction, wiping out, will be finished. V'imlai, and if it's not such, it's not so bad like this voice that's reaching me, we'll have to see what that means. If not, Eda, then I will know. And Rashi, I believe, explains, then I will know what to do to them. I'll have plan B. Okay, so plan A was, if it's really as bad as it seems, destruction. And if not, I will know. And now the Bais HaLaivi is going to bring the Rashi and then the Medrash on this pasuk. Appears Rashi, Hakitzakasa haba asu kala. Im omdim b'meradam, if they are staying in their rebelliousness, kala. then there'll be destruction. Kol ani oseh bahem, I will destroy them. V'im lo yamdu b'meradam, and if they're not sticking with their rebellion, they are doing tshuva, right? They're repenting and they're fixing their ways. They're not staying that way. So that's why it's possible that the report that's reaching God is inaccurate. How could that be? I mean, if it's coming up, if the voice is reaching God's report, maybe it won't be that way. What does it mean? Imlai. And if not. But what Rashi is saying is, if it's not staying, meaning even though they sinned, but they aren't sticking b'meradam. They're not staying with their rebellion. But they're actually doing tshuva. So if that's the case, then Eidah ma'aseh, I will know what to do. Li'ipar me'em, to punish them. B'yisurin. Para, we're familiar with in the Gemara terminology of pira'on, which means a payment, retribution here. Okay, with Yisurin. Yisurin, we know Yisurin is suffering and pain. But I will not destroy them. I won't wipe them out. Okay, so if they are really as bad as they initially started off, then Sodom and Amorah will get destroyed. They'll get wiped off the face of the map. But if they aren't omdim b'meradam, then Hashem says they'll get something not as bad. Yisurim, they'll get, and they won't wipe them out.
Isn't this tremendously anthropomorphic?
Go ahead.
You know, God is in this place, not in that place. He has to come down. He has to go up. Are his reports out of date? I'm serious. It has this sense of, he's in headquarters and he's not getting. This is not God.
It's for us to help us visualize that as religion.
But there must be some.
Of God.
But there must be some very specific reason why these terms are used. They're used all the time.
Right? It's put in language which we can understand.
I understand that, but I'm wondering why this choice of phrases is used. That he goes down to Babel, he goes down to Mitzrayim, he goes down to Sodom. Each time. It's kind of this repetition of he has a distance from it and then he goes to it.
Right. I hear your question. We also have a concept in our calendar that there's a time that Hashem is close, right, during the Yom Noraim. And this, Hashem's always just as close. And the Beis HaMikdash, Hashem's presence is there. What does that mean? His presence is there in that place. Hashem is everywhere. So it could be, obviously there's more depth, and I'm not answering your question, why in specific places it's associated in those specific places, certain times that Hashem is being described in these terms. But in general, like you're saying, the Rambam describes that it's Lashon Bnei Adam the way we could relate to it. And generally when there's an idea of Shekhinah, or a place of closeness, a time of closeness, I think that's understood that it's from our perspective. In other words, we feel it, we recognize it.
Yeah.
God's presence more than in a different time.
But that's not with these pieces.
So here, there wasn't, the people of Sodom, I wasn't there, but I don't think they saw a hand come down from Shemayim and smash them, or clear the table, wipe them off. But at the same time, they felt God's hand in the sense that they saw this was an act of God that was dealing with them. It wasn't something that was natural. So that it's an expression of God's hand, so to speak.
I wasn't asking about the destruction. That I understand what they would have felt. The investigative process is the thing that strikes me as it's strange. God.
What does it mean? Hashem looks into it, delves into it, comes closer,
maybe they have done tshuva, maybe they haven't done tshuva. I'll check it out. Lashon Adam is acceptable, but it's
right. We have this same idea. I can't quote you a specific source, but I think we're all familiar with the ideas of how the divine court system works upstairs. How a person comes upstairs and they bring the sins on one side, and the angels, the good angels, and representing the mitzvos, and the bad angels are created by the sins. and then they come on the other side, and then everything is finished. Then Hashem says, okay, now that we see that what the stakes are, al pi din, according to strict justice, now is there anything else to consider? Is there a specific kindness or act of chesed that the person did? Is there some special thing that should tip the scale? What about the Yisurim? Is there suffering that the person had? Maybe that could play a very big role in tipping the scale. And all these things are, like you said, isn't it just Hashem's computer screen doesn't take any time to process,
But at the end of that Zohar, it simply says it's best not to make a defense, but to throw yourself at the mercy of the king, because he knows it all. It's actually the end of that Zohar.
Still, what I'm saying is
the court process is a sham in a sense.
But we, in other words, we don't want to come in front of Hashem and say, "Look, I deserve to win through justice." Right? Mi yitztach lefanecha. We don't want that. We want mercy. But at the same time, there is when judgment is when the judgment is harsh, there still is something called rachamim, which is this extra investigation. I don't know exactly what that means, but after in midas hadin, yes, guilty. But maybe there's something else to find a merit, to find a reason to be merciful within the judgment.
Okay. We should go on. I'm distracting.
Yeah.
I apologize.
So that would be the case here. If they did tshuva, and then Hashem would say, okay, now we're going to find a different approach.
It's kind of odd that, of course, Baruch Hu would let the situation get out of hand to the point where he has to destroy. And the example, the model I'd like to give is a Rabbi in a class. He sees a few people misbehaving. He doesn't wait until the whole class gets into that mode. As soon as one student isn't behaving the way he should, he gets punished. And if the student does it again, he gets punished until the student realizes that, listen, either I straighten out or I'm in big trouble. So my question here is in Sodom, for example, if it's a question that difficult to answer, I understand, but why wait until to the point where Kodesh Baruch has no choice but to destroy, as opposed to giving, Yisurim and pain a little bit along the way until the person realizes, hey, I can't go on this way, because then everything's going to be lost.
Right, it's a good question. We know that.
I understand, but every bechira has a consequence. Whatever you choose has a consequence, either good or bad. No, but I'm saying, you see, there are people who are followers and there are people who are leaders. So if you have the leader and you weed out the leaders, it's like you're having a garden, you have beautiful vegetables, all of a sudden you have
Hashem could manipulate it before it actually self-destructs.
Not manipulate, but react.
To take out the
react and punish those who are not following his ways. Number one, and number two. At the same time, that may prevent another person who may be weaker in character of following because everybody else is doing it.
It seems the whole town was in on it. It seems it was pretty confined. That's when he said, "Can you find?"
No, I understand, but there's like
there were any.
Okay, this is a bigger discussion, but I just want to add one point that we are fortunate as Jews that we are promised that Hashem's not going to let that happen to us. That He's going to give us this Yisurim before it's too late. He's not going to let the measure become full of sins before He has to actually destroy us, like many other nations have come and gone, that their sins have become full. But by Klal Yisrael, we're promised that we're going to survive. And it's the Yisurim that keeps us going, that keeps us, that we can continue to survive because of that. And it's not very comfortable, but it's still that's the good fortune of Klal Yisrael, different from the other nations. But why the other nations and why? I'm not answering your question. Okay, so now so back to our Rashi. So Rashi is saying that this is what the pasuk means, that Hashem is saying that if they're not only b'meridam, they're not staying with their rebelliousness, so then I will not destroy them, I won't wipe them out, but I will give them Yisurim, I'll give them pains and difficulties, and that will be their retribution instead. Amar HaKosov. Bais HaLaivi is now just expanding the pasuk, not adding so much, but just opening it up for us, get even more clear. Amar HaKosov, the complaints and the cries of those who were being oppressed in Sodom, and they were getting the ill treatment of Sodom, was so great. Kitzaikim harbe, they're crying out a lot. And Hashem hears the cries of the neshakim, of those who were oppressed, and the victims of Sodom. Vigam, that was the first part of the pasuk, that is the akka, the cry. Vigam, in the second part of the pasuk, the gam chatasam, their sins. The hainu hamasa shalahem, the actual deeds, shall shnei akitais, both groups. Both groups is the oppressors and the victims. Ha'oshkim ve'ashukim kavda, the sins of all of them in Sodom, they're all very heavy. The gam matzaik hu chayte gadol, even though those who are the victims are also part of the same society, and they are sinners as well. So that's the double two facets in the pasuk: Zahaka Sodom v'Amora, Kiraba v'Chatasam, and Kikavda me'od. The Zahaka and the Chet. And now the second half of the pasuk: Erda na ve'era, I will descend and I will see. Hakitzakasa habailai asu chayavim klaya. If like the cry that's coming to me, they have done, so then they're guilty. They chayavim. Their chayav means that that's their punishment is that they'll be wiped out. V'imlai eda, and if not, then I will know. So we're going to see more what this explanation of what this means. I will know, as Rashi said. I'll give them Yisurim. Okay, so the Bais HaLaivi says, I'm not giving you the only pshat. Harbe Pirushim Nemru, the pasuk that, but now he's going to bring the medrash that's going to add more explanation to here. The medrash Isa, v'imlai, and if not, idea bahem, I will make known. Instead of I will know, Eda, right? V'imlai Eda, the medrash says, v'imlai idea bahem midas adin ba'olam. I will make known through them the midas adin, the attribute of judgment in this world. Okay? So if they have sinned and they haven't repented and they're oimid b'meradam, then they get wiped out. But if not, I will make it known my midas adin through them in the world.
What's Chav Misa Mechaper? What does that mean?
We're going to explain now. We're going to get into a Yesod. He's going to explain something basic, principle here. Then he's going to go back to explain the pasuk. Okay, this also we have to understand what it means. And now he's going to explain. If we look in the Torah, we see that there's different levels of punishment. The Torah divides them up. Some have corporal punishment, that you get punished in court. Some that are lighter. It's only a losa say, sheish b'maisa, you get 40 lashes. Okay, so now he's going to explain this the concept of punishment in general. The Torah divided up at different levels. The actual punishment that would be deserved, right, according to strict judgment, even for a small sin, is much greater and much more severe. Now he adds an extra time. Yoser v'yoser. More and more. Lein erech mea malchus. Much worse than malchus. So malchus is the lenient, let's say sheish b'maisa, with no other punishment added on. But what a person would really deserve, sheish b'maisa. For Allah says shein b'maisa, we don't find there's no punishment in court unless there's payment of money. Okay, so But then beyond that, you could have Misas Bezdin and different levels of Misa, and Misas B'dei Shemayim and Kares and certain things. But what the Bais HaLaivi is saying is that all the punishments that the Torah prescribes are not really enough, according to Midas Hadin. It's not really enough, because the Onesh HaMagil Adam. Why is that it's not enough? Because the Onesh that comes to a person that is deserving to a person, Api Midas HaMishpat, Gam Ached HaKal Shebekalos, even on the lightest sin. No human being could fathom the greatness of that sin. Why is that? Because we can't grasp what it means, rebellion against the Creator of the world. We don't even have a concept of a king, of Morid B'Malchus in our generation, but even in the generations when the person there would be a concept of Morid B'Malchus, there was no, unless the king would pardon, but it was an automatic worthiness of death. You were Morid B'Malchus. But so why is it that there are levels and there are and a person could get a kapara through an onesh if it's really not worthy of the strict judgment? And Ramchal, we're familiar, also speaks about this, that according to Midas Hadin, how severe it is, that much worse than what we could fathom. So the Bais HaLaivi explains to us what is the answer to this mystery. If it's really indeed so bad, so then why is it that a person could get a kapara with a certain onish? So what is that onish accomplishing? So he says like this, and then it's going to get back to our pasuk to explaining it. Rak the kol ha'onishem maksuvim b'Torah einam begader onesh u'nekama chalila. All of the punishments in the Torah are not really. They are not. He says chalila. Chalila is like chas v'shalom, right? Heaven forbid that it should be. It's actually in this week's Parsha is the place that we have that word in the Torah. Chalila l'cha, right? Me'asayis kadavar hazeh. Yeah, I was just listening to a tape from, not tapes anymore, from Yaakov Weinberg, that's all from Eretz. Anyway, so, and he said that that's one of the most amazing psukim in the Torah, that Avraham takes Hashem to task, so to speak. Chalila l'cha me'asayis, that you, Hashem, won't do mishpat, you won't do judgment. You're not going. It's regarding Sodom that Hashem, he's pleading on behalf of Sodom that Hashem should find some saving tzaddik, that something that could merit, that could save them. But so anyway, he's saying Chalila, that it should be that the punishment is some kind of nikama, that Hashem is saying, I'm taking revenge, I'm giving you back. You did something to me, I'm doing something back to you. Rakima begeder tikun. What it really is that it's a tikkun. A tikkun, that it's for us, that it's fixing up what we need to have fixed up. So it's for our sake. The bazeh she'oisin b'ha'over dina shel Torah, that which Bezdin does, somebody who transgressed the din of the Torah, Malchus, or Mises Bezdin, so Bezdin gives them lashes, they give them Mises Bezdin. Harei rabim me'aroim yashuvu me'avain, v'gam yizaru me'alasais k'ma'asav. K'ma shomer ha'kosov, v'chol Yisrael yishmu v'yira'u. The pasuk says that what happens when there's punishment in court is that all of Klal Yisrael will hear and they will fear. They will be in awe. Kol Yisrael yishmu v'yira'u. So that's not just something for the sake of the rest of the Jewish people. That's something that's beneficial for the sake of the one who transgressed, because he brought into this world some influence of being light and going against the word of Hashem. So now he needs as his tikkun that he's going to bring about On the contrary, that Kol Yisrael Yishmu V'Yiro, that he's going to now bring about that there's going to be an awe and a fear of the word of Hashem. And that will be Hu Misake Numazir, now on the top of the second column. Numazir LaRabim, through this he fixes that he is a warning to the public, Shlo Yasu Kimasav. Zeu Gufa Tikun Avera. And this itself is the Tikun for his Avera. Shneim Kechad. And now it's a joint Tikun. Number one, the Hainu HaYisurim Shesovel, the terrible pain, embarrassment, humiliation, and suffering that the person who gets the punishment in Bezdin, that is one thing that's his kapara. And the second thing is Umashenigdar Geder Al Yadai, that there was a fence that was put up through him, because now people will stay far away from the sin because they are frightened by the punishment of the of transgression. Okay, so now, but the Bais HaLaivi is going to get back to explaining the pasuk. So he just wraps up this concept. But without this tikkun, without this, we just discussed that Kol Yisrael Yishmu V'Yiro. Ha'aynesh shehaya magia la'adam avor etzem hachet v'la'tikkun lo yeda enosh erka. A person can't know its a measure, what's really deserving without this process. Now he adds on. Until now, we've been talking about punishment in Bezdin, one of the Bezdin's punishments. Says the Bais HaLaivi, it's not only that way when it's a punishment in Bezdin, but even when it comes from Bidei Shamayim, even when it comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu through heavenly means. If it's a sin that is well known, that people know about, and then when people see the punishment that has come to him, when your judgment comes, when your mishpat, your justice comes to this world, meaning through Bidei Shamayim, Tzedek lamdu yoshvei tevel, the people of the world learn righteousness, and that's so. One second. So that is if you have two things in place. One is that it was a sin that was known about, that was famous, it was well known. So then, when that's the case, and then the punishment b'dei shamayim is also openly seen, so then people connect the two. They make a correlation, and then it will bring about this also tikkun, that the person who's suffering, or the people that's suffering, not only did they suffer, and thereby they are atoning for themselves and getting rid of this blemish, this sin that they have, but also they're bringing about the tikkun in the world, that they're tzedek lamdu yoshvei tevel, the people of the world have learned tzedek, and now that also stands on their behalf as well as part of the kapara. Okay. Now we're getting back to our pasuk and our medrash. Nizeu she'amar ha'kosov hakitzakosah haba elai asu the einos in tshuva. If, like the cry that has come to me, they have done, and what does it mean they have done? That they still are holding on to it. They still have that without doing tshuva. Vein os in tshuva. Kala chayavim im klaya. So then kala, which means that they're guilty of their punishment is being wiped out. V'im lai, but if not, hainu im lai chatu kol kach, if it's not such a big sin, k'atzaka shetzakim aleihem, or sheyasu tshuva, or if they did tshuva, so now that makes it lighter. So how's it going to be lighter? Eidah, Hashem says, I will know. And now he's putting both pshatim in. Eidah, I'll know another plant, meaning besides kala, kilaya, and besides, and idea, I will make known. Idea by midas adin la'olam. Meaning to say that Peirosh, he explains it, sheyinagi moyim bechesed zeh, v'lo ye'anshem ke'erech hamishpat, rak ye'anish oisam be'oifen sheyisparsem v'yisvada bohem midas hadin ba'olam. We'll do a kindness because they are not so bad, because they are deserving of some measure of mercy. How am I going to implement that mercy? What am I going to do to make it lighter and give them a kapara so they could continue to exist without that sin still standing there and obligating Hakadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, to wipe them out? What am I going to find to be able to rectify it, that they could continue? That will be that I will make known through them the midas adin ba'olam. That's what the Medrash is saying. V'imlai idea b'hem midas adin ba'olam. And then, through that, they could continue to exist, because that will be their tikkun. Because since the sins of Sodom were public and well known, the cries of Sodom were very great, so it's public and it's famous. If the punishment is not also publicized, then they'll be lacking. They'll lose out. It's for their tayeles that Hashem should make the punishment well known. Idea by midas adin ba'olam. Because if they don't have it well known, then number one, the punishment will have to be much worse, much heavier. So what it's saying is that they're going to have a worse punishment, and they won't get a tikkun unless I make the punishment public and with a display that's open, that everyone will see it. So what am I going to do? I will publicize the midas hadin. And then they will gain, so to speak. It will be much better for them. They won't be totally wiped out. And then it will be lighter, their punishment. So that is what Hashem was saying, that He would take that approach to Sodom if He would find some merit, something they did tshuva, or they had something that would make it lighter. But we know the end of Sodom. The story was that they were wiped out.
And very publicly.
That's right, very publicly. And Hashem's name was, so to speak, was Mekudesh, but at the same time, there was nothing that, there was no midas rachamim involved that was able to take away the sin. Okay. Now, he's going to bring a pasuk and tell him. Let's see what time it is. 11:30. Okay. So let's start some more time. Okay. So there's a pasuk in Tehillim. I mentioned to you once that one of the beautiful things of the Bais HaLaivi is you see his Bekiyas, how the psukim that he brings, whether it's from Tehillim, the Chazalim, from all over Shas and Medrash and Zohar and psukim throughout Navi. So the following pasuk is bringing from Tehillim. The Efshar Dalzel Inyan Ispala Navi v'Amar Kasav Techi Nafshi v'Tahaleleka Mishpatecha Ya'azruni. Let my soul live and praise you, and your justice, your judgment, Yazruni, will help me, will strengthen me. Omar, David HaMelech said, Shlo Yadin Aisai Ligamri, don't judge him completely. Sheyichlech Alila, that he should be wiped out, heaven forbid. Rak, what is he begging for? Techi nafshi shetishar b'chayim. Allow me to continue, that I should remain a living. What does it mean that the mishpat will strengthen me, will fortify me? The mishpat vayisurim sheyavo alav. He's saying, Hashem, the justice and the suffering that you bring on me, yiyala le'ezer dal yada yisukin acherim. Because through, how will it be an ezer? Because through that, other people will learn, other people will be also fixed up, and they'll learn not to sin. L'meila Yezel Ezer, that will come to aid him, that to stand by his side.
What I was, alluding to, where as someone gets punished along the way, he corrects his ways as opposed to getting punished at the end when there's no
Right.
there's no point of return.
Right, you're right.
And at the same time, others around you will see an example. Listen, this is what happens if you behave a certain way. Therefore, hey, if I don't want to get the same result, I better, shape up my act.
So the Nekara tried to do tshuva because they saw what happened.
Right. Like I mentioned, Klal Yisrael does have that hanhaga, what you're saying. And we had many Nevi'im before there was a Korban Beis HaMikdash that tried to get us to not, that shouldn't go that far, right? But okay, so now there's an interesting Gemara.
The one who almost failed the most was Moshe.
What do you mean?
149th level, going to gone out of time, he didn't go then. So the one, the biggest leader, had us the worst group.
We were on the brink of falling too low, of not being able to be fixed. But Hashem remembered the shvuah that He swore to the Avos. Right? He heard the cries, but He remembered the shvuah that He's not going to allow it to get that far. There's an interesting Gemara here. The Beis HaLaivi doesn't bring the whole Gemara, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to the Avos after, we're talking about generations later, and He's telling the Avos, the Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, that your children have sinned, and what could I do about this? And first, Avraham, we'll see what they say, but it's an intriguing Gemara. So what happens here in the Gemara? There's one is a Gemara in Masechet Shabbos. Don't look at his Baruch Avraham. Banecha chatu, your children have sinned. Amar lefanav, Ribono shel olam. So what did Avraham say? Your children have sinned, meaning Avraham's children have sinned. So what does he tell Hashem that he should do to his children? We would think, have mercy on them, right? Avraham says, Ribono shel olam, Yichlu al kedusha shemecha. They should be finished. Al kedusha shemecha, to sanctify your name. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, "No, I don't like that idea." Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Loi b'sabe, sabe are elders, tamo. The elders don't have good ideas here. Okay, Achavali Yitzchak, until he skips part of the Gemara, till Hashem came to Yitzchak Avinu, v'hispal aleim, and then Yitzchak prayed for his children. So what's going on here? L'v'yanir Avram v'Yaakov, Avram Avinu and Yaakov Avinu, lo yispalu al Klal Yisrael. They didn't plead on Klal Yisrael's behalf. Rak katvu dinam sheyichlu chalila, that should be the end of Klal Yisrael. So how could that be? So the Bais HaLaivi says there's another diak here that will give us the key that that's not the case, that Avram and Yaakov wanted Klal Yisrael to be finished. The language that Avram used, Ribono shel olam yichlu al kedusha shemecha. The words al kedusha shemecha, mashma and the word Ribono shel olam is mashma shu tefilo v'akasha. It's like some kind of prayer, but it's not just a gezerah. He's saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they should be yichlu al kedusha shemecha. But what kind of tefillah is this? What kind of request is this? We got mikra davar kasha, and the whole idea, the whole notion that there would be such the avos olam yifsiku dina yisrael loya chalila v'yivak rachmim aleim klal. How could that be? That the avos olam, that our forefathers would just write us off like that, chalila. So what does it mean? So the Beis HaLaivi is going to give us an interpretation of here of the Gemara. What it means is hakavana k'moshe kasavti, the bikesh shelo ye'anshem begeder eina sheroy al chet. They were asking, don't punish them just this is what they deserve, give them what they deserve. But rather, there should be another ingredient over here taken into account. Then that is Kedusha Shemecha. Rak Sheyeh Begeder Tikon. Sheyeh Ba'aynes Kiddush Hashem. Allow Avram and Yaakov are coming up with an idea here how Hashem could lighten the decree here. That if you make it in such a way that it will bring about Kedusha Shemecha, so then they won't have to have as severe of a punishment. And through that component of Kiddush Hashem involved, then the punishment will be much lighter. But the Kodesh Baruch Hu wasn't even happy with that. That was also too much. Hashem didn't want it to be so that there should be a punishment. He said, Yitzchak, pray. Okay, that's what Yitzchak did, and Yitzchak is what Hashem wanted. That find a way that we could totally not have to give them an oynesh at all, if possible. Now, until now, we've been speaking about Einshim in this world. Okay, whether they be Einshim in Bezdin, whether they are Bidei Shamayim, right? And if there is, if it's not so severe, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu could add this component of Kiddush Shem Shamayim or Kol Am Yishmu V'Yiro, right? And through that will be dual kapara. Number one, the Yisurim, of course, plays a role, the suffering itself, and on the other hand, also the Kiddush Shem Shamayim that comes about through the lesson being learned. Okay. Now, what the Bais HaLaivi is going to do for us now is to add on that even, which is hard to understand how this could be, he's going to explain to us, even in Shamayim, after a person is nifter, it is such that the Einshim in Gehenim are not just Onshim, Nikama, Midas Adin, but rather there's a tikkun here that's being given, that something that's for the benefit of a person is going to be able to reach the proper place for his soul to be in Shemayim through this tikkun, and it's not going to be severe as it could be. And then he's going to explain to us how that is. The punishments of Gehenim, they're not just a punishment. If that would be such, there would be no end to the suffering in Gehenim. Like the judgment of somebody who rebels against the king of the world. There is no limit to the punishment that's deserving. Rak Gamhu, also in Gehenim, that as well is Begeder Tikkun. From the east of the Medrash Parshas Vayera. Okay? And here comes a Medrash Parshas Vayera. It says like this. Geshem Shekilusai. Kilos is praise, okay? Kilos, the Mekales, La'ale, right? We say in davening, Ma'ale L'Kales, I'll call Divrei Shirais, L'Sishbechais. Right, exactly. David Ben Yishak, Chamashichecha. Okay? Kilos is one of those terms of praise. And this kilos comes from Gehenim. The Medrash says, Kishem shekiluso ola migan Eden. Kach kiluso, just like the praise of Hashem comes out from Gan Eden. Look, Hashem keeps His word. Hashem gave people the reward that they deserved, and these people glorified, these neshamas glorified Hashem's name, and there's a kilos that's coming, a praise that's coming from Gan Eden. So too, this kilos is coming from Gehenim. Kach kiluso ole mi Gehenim. So what that means, as the Bais HaLaivi is, the ve'osa olam, in that world, in the world in Shamayim, olam haneshamas, the nireh ha'enesh la'ovrei ritzaynai ha'yedei zeh, when when it's even in the world, I guess it means amongst the malachim and perhaps maybe even amongst other souls as well. It is known that it's seen the einesh for the Ober Ritzaynai, for those who went against the will of Hashem. They said nikr kvodo v'zeu atikon la'anidainim sham, and this will be an atonement and a way of fixing up for those who are judged there. V'avuro zochen la'alesh misham, and because of that, they don't stay in Gehenna forever. What happens? Because it's at some point, okay, now it's fixed up, and they get to go misham kechlois meshach zman dinam. They get to ascend from there, and they're no longer punished anymore, because they're fixed up. They're taken care of.
They go straight to Gan Eden after that.
And after that, they go to Gan Eden. That's right. And he's going to tell us there's very rarely an exception, but there is an exception. But Ramchal speaks about this as well. Derech Hashem, that almost always this is the case, that a person is going to in the end of time be in Olam Haba, that their sins are going to be fixed up already, and now they could go to ultimately be in that state of perfection that they could be with the perfect one, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. But they have to reach that level first. So the only thing is that there's an exception. For most of us, if we sin because we succumb to our temptation or other pressures, then we're judged like this according to the sin, and for the punishment comes this praise and this Shevach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'zeu tikunam, and through that we'll get out of it, and we'll go up to Gan Eden. But when it comes to kfira, through denial of the of HaKadosh Baruch Hu being the Rebbeinu Shel Olam, that He's the Barei Olam, if it's coming to kfira, Chas v'Shalom, then Amida v'Sech Chas Hashanah, then Hidainim Barei Olam, V'Gehenim Kala, V'Heiminam Kalim, V'Eina Gehenim Lem L'Tikon. Then the Gehenim will not be a Tikon for them. V'Efshar Loimer, the Kavanas Zu, and I guess that it's possible I think we learned that the Dara Flaga, right, was such a case. The Dara Flaga, I think, was taken away from Olam Haba, that they had no, I think it says about them. The Efshar Loimer, the Kavana Zu, Fligu. Okay, see if we can finish this thought. I should hold it here, 1 second. Okay, I'll just end off without reading it inside with there's a pasuk in Yeshaya that's a famous pasuk that says like this: Pischu sha'arim v'yavai gait tzadik shomer emunim. Okay, so we know there's a famous drasha, and what it means is open up the gates, and the gait tzadik, the righteous nation, will come through. Shomer emunim, those who are guardians of faith. So there's a drasha of Chazal that it goes on people who were being judged in Gehenna, and they go up, they ascend out, come out through saying Amen. Shomer emunim, shomer Amen. Amen is an expression of Kel Melech Ne'eman, right? That's a stance abbreviation. Amen is an expression of emunah, of faith. And the Beis HaLaivi explains, because since Goy Tzadik, which means really this is a sin which could be rectified, and it's something which is just like an outer shell, an outer layer, something that's tinting us. So when that's the case, the punishment comes, and a person in Gehenim is matzdik the din on him, and he says Amen, so to speak, because Baruch Hu is Ne'eman, and that brings about the rectification of the sin, that he comes back to be able to go up to Olam Haba, because Baruch Hu the midah of emes of Kodesh Baruch Hu was brought out through the Ein Gehenim, and that's why now the gates of Shemayim are opened up for the person, and they could come because it was through those Yisurim, and they could live through that emunah. So as long as a person is a maimin, there is a tikkun for them, and they'll get to have a chelik in olam haba, as long as they have that emunah.